Hey Ken, I found my birthday card that you made for me. I wasn't snooping. I just found it in the desk, in an envelope, in another envelope, in a sealed pamphlet.
That's not your birthday card. It's for the stamp demo.
Oh. It's not?
No.
I still get presents though, right?
Not right now. Hi, and welcome to Crafts by Two. I'm Ken.
And I'm George. Last week, Ken showed you how to make your own stamps out of craft foam.
And this week, we continue the process by making our own background stamps. And really, this is what I wanted to do with it all along.
It's really cool. And it came out really great on my a birthday card Ken happened to make that I found.
So we made some circles.
Here, let me help.
And kind of a doily pattern, which came out really cool. And then with the circles, we kept the cutout.
The negative.
Yeah, so the negative space, and used that too. So I used both in this birthday card. And so the blue was this one, and then the red was that one. As you can see, there's a lot of red left. So here's the dots that I did in red, just on their own. And then this is that doily, which I did in a nice distressing color. Can't remember which color yellow it is.
Mustard.
Mustard.
Mustard seed, I believe.
It looks very mustardy.
Yeah, it does.
And this one was the carnation from Close to My Heart on the white paper. So I think they came out really good and will make nice backgrounds or accents for your projects.
So just so everyone knows, Melody Lane is over there. That's why Ken looked at her to see if that was the right name of the color ink. Because she's got them like all memorized.
So we had a lot of great suggestions about using different materials or different adhesives for making your own stamps from the foam. Some people said that you could use the foam that has the adhesive already on the back, just cut that out and put it right on an acetate block. Other people talked about repositional glues and things like that. We kind of didn't go in that direction because my long-term goal was to make background stamps like this. So that way I knew I could have it on the block and not have to keep putting them down on the acrylic block each time. So that's why I really wasn't going for repositionable. I went with the Elmer's spray-on adhesive because that's what worked out for this project with the background stamps.
And he didn't try to spray it on my head and put stamps on it this time. You're still a monster.
So what I did was cut it out, leave it on the mat, weeded out the outline, the negative space, and all the little tiny pieces, which, had I really thought about it, I might not have done this kind of lacy thing.
You did a Georgie cut!
Because it took about half an hour to weed all this out. And then I sprayed the adhesive on the block, let it tack up for about 5 minutes, then I just pushed the block down on the materials already on my mat, all in position, and let it dry for about 15 minutes, and then it peeled right off easily.
And it came out really great. I have an idea for this.
Like what?
Duckies. Little duckies.
Oh, okay. What I did in Design Space to prepare all this was I drew a box the size of the block and then just laid it out, playing around with a lot of different designs. And then I sliced it all out so it would cut just right to fit on the block. This one I kind of glued down and then trimmed the edges, but the edges are all kind of wonky. So I really liked the approach of having the Cricut do all the cutting because then it was all nice and even.
Yeah, and the off-kilter crafter should have done that one because it's all wonky, a little off-kilter.
So I'm going to show you how I set this up in Design Space. Just for fun, I've decided to try making this stamp in the Design Space app on my iPhone. You can do everything I'm doing here for the stamps in the regular desktop. It's just going to have the buttons in a few different places, but you're going to be inserting images and sizing them and slicing them, and you can do all of that right on the desktop version also. First, I'm going to insert a guide. So I want a square. So I'm inserting one of the new basic shapes, and I'm going to set that to be the size of my block. First, I'm going to make it white in the background so it's a little easier as I design things. Now I can get rid of the layers and go to edit, and I know my block is 4 by 5, so I need to tap the lock so I can set these separately. So I'm setting that to 4 and that to 5. So this gives me my block size to work in, and actually I need to make that just a little bit smaller. I decided when I was doing it to make the cutouts just a little bit smaller than the blocks so I didn't have to worry about them going off the edge when I was trying to glue things down. So I'm hopping back into edit, and I'm just gonna make this like 3.8 by 4.8 just to give me a little bit of wiggle room to work with. I'd already browsed through the images, and I decided this one I'm going to make in kind of some swirls. So I'm going to insert some images, and I have the subscription, but these are actually free. So I'm going to use these 3 different swirls here. So I'm going to choose each one to insert. So now I have these 3 shapes to work with. Now I just want kind of the swirl designs, not the backgrounds. So I need to go back to my layers and hide those backgrounds. So I select the layer and hide it. So now I just have those swirls to work with. These are kind of big, so I'm just going to play around. Oops, the lock's off there. So I want to undo, put the lock back on. Okay, now I think I'm ready. And now I have all these little extra pieces hanging over the edge, so I need to select the object, and probably zoom in to make this a little easier, and select the background. So now I've got that one red triangle selected and my square in the background, and I can go to Actions, and I cannot slice. That is because I hid the extra layers instead of getting rid of them. So select my shape, select the background, so I've got the larger rectangle selected, and now I can slice. and I can select that portion I don't need anymore and get rid of it. So I can repeat that again. Select that, select the larger background, and slice. Get rid of the extra pieces. Now I've gotten rid of all the extra edges. I can select this larger piece now and get rid of that. And now I have kind of a cleaner stamp to work with. So when I cut it out, this is how it's going to be on the mat, and I can just take my block and glue it right to it and lift it off, and I don't have to worry about trying to trim any of the edges myself. Could have done a little bit of a better job, that lower corner with the white leaving that little extra chunk and the yellow there with the kind of circular swirl. I left that little extra piece. If I cut this out, I'd probably pull those little extra pieces off. Now the last thing I want to do is sync to bring all of this together. And it could be any color. I just did white because it was on top of my list. So that's all synced. So I've selected all. And you could attach it so everything cuts in place. Now when we send it to the mat, that's how it's going to cut out.
Ken, that was pretty interesting and all, but didn't last week you say that we were going to do it with stencils this week?
Yeah, but the week got a little busy for us, and I didn't have time to do the stencils just yet.
Oh, we were cleaning the craft studio.
Yep, and putting bookcases together and paper racks together.
And paper away. And trying to get my computer fixed. Thanks, Windows.
We'll do stencils next week, or maybe sooner. They'll have to subscribe so they don't miss out.
Good segue. If you're on YouTube, there's a red button down here that says subscribe. Just click on that and you'll be subscribed. If you're on the Crafts by 2 website, there's a red button over there someplace that says YouTube. If you click on it and it gives you information on how to subscribe, you haven't subscribed to us yet. If you click on it and it does nothing, you're already subscribed.
Yeah, it's a weird button, but it works. Much like George.
Your weird button.
No, you worry about.
No, your weird button. See, he said yes. It's not a stamp.
There's a button. Didn't do anything. That's weird.
Remember, we're also on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course,
Pinterest, and Twitter.
And Twitter. He knows all the internets we're on.
So you can subscribe by following the links down below also on our website or on YouTube.
I know one you forgot.
What?
We're on Patreon too. So Ken, you made all this stamping stuff look so easy. I'd like to see what they're making with it.
Yeah.
If you guys have made your own stamps or background stamps like Ken showed you today, take a picture and send them to us. We'd love to see them. So until next Tuesday, or probably sooner if we get to do the stencils this week, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
I wasn't snooping. I just happened to Take 2. Hey Ken, I found the... It's going to be difficult.
You're going to be difficult. I went with that. Draw a box the size of my brick. My block. I drew...
So Ian, the off-quilt